So now in this step, all I did, if you notice some changes in the background, all I did was just put in some, you know, throwaway backgrounds in here, just really simple. Wasn't even worth showing. Just really simple gradations and stuff like that. I put like a sort of a white gradation coming from the top to sort of indicate like heat, like that's really bright. The sun is like right above us, that sort of a thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do these cars. So here's a method. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer, duplicate it. We're going to duplicate that thing, and then we're going to go underneath it, the one that we duplicated it, and we're going to hit Control Backspace and do that. No, we're not. We're going to lock the transparency. We're going to pick the right color and do a backfill, and then all we got is it in white. Now, why did we do that? You will soon find out. We're going to take our line art that we have, that we didn't destroy, and put it onto multiply. Underneath this, we're going to start doing something called flats. Flats are tedious. Yet another tedious part. But you know what? No pain, no gain, so we just have to deal with it. So anyways, let's pick some colors and have at it. Let's go get to it. So usually how I do it is I do the main things in the front. I'm sorry, I usually go from back to front. So I'll go in and pick the things that are in the back. Maybe I don't want it to be that color. Maybe I want it to be more grayish so that this one turns out. And I'll go in and literally take things that are more in the foreground and attack them later on. First thing I do when I'm doing flats is I go in and basically I go in and just try to establish the vast majority of the large shapes. So get all the large shapes out of the way. So for example, the van here, we get that out of the way. We got this car here too. So anyways, I know the bottom part of this van has like a darker trim on it. So we'll do that. And also the light cluster is dark too. So I'll just go in, and I'm doing this with a non-anti-aliased brush. So if you notice, it's giving me that chunky line. In other words, pencil. So if you go into your brush and you turn it to pencil, you'll get the non-anti-aliased line I'm talking about. And the reason why I'm doing that is because then later on, if we want to change certain colors, we can pick the colors from this so-called flat layer. So this flat layer, what'll happen is that it'll always be there, and if we want to really quickly just say change the color of, you know, this trim level on the bottom, like this sort of dark gray trim, we can easily go and select and it'll be perfect. Like for example, we just turn off anti-aliasing and we go and we can, let's turn off contiguous. Oh man. And it'll go right on the layer and it'll do it exactly to the point. Nothing more, nothing less. So that if we wanted to, we could, you know, do like crazy color changes and nothing would happen to the other colors. So it's very good. It works very well for characters too. If you want to be able to change things later on down the line. Very good for clients as well too that have a thing about changing their, and all clients do. Oh, can you change this? You know what? We like this color better. You know what? Can you change this? And you know what? That's their right. They can do it. You know, that old saying, customer's always right. Or mostly right. So believe you me, this will save you. This will save you. Quick changes, quick edits, real fast. So it's good. Depending where it's dark and stuff, you'll be able to get away with more or less. You don't have to be so like extremely clean. And for the most part, I mean, like if you know that you're not going to be changing much stuff, you're pretty sure about it, then you can be a little bit more sloppy. But generally, they're just so useful. Like I've just used them so much over the years they're so useful that I can't do without them. They're just really, really handy. So let's fill this in. This is the turn signal. The turn signal is not illuminated, so then it shouldn't be too bright. And we'll pick, well, actually we won't do that. We'll pick sort of a gray for the headlamps, because the headlamps are also not illuminated right now. So let's do that. The other one doesn't show up. And we'll worry about the shades later. And then, that looks like that wiper got a little bit messed up. Like sometimes the inks don't scan quite the same way. So learned my, lesson and then forgot it. Like, oh, I'm supposed to try and keep it that you use the same inks, but sometimes you want to use different markers, and sometimes certain markers don't have the same type ink quality or the same ink type. Sometimes the ink is they mix the inks differently, so it's not like an archival type ink, so it'll be sort of bluish and then it scans that way. So those things, little things you gotta be worried about. So let's go in here. It's like I said, to go from the larger shapes to smaller. Safest way to do it. So actually, I know that this is actually supposed to be metal. This should be gray. Gray. I'm just looking at my reference, make sure I remember it properly. This should be dark here. Oh, that's a little bit too dark. Let's not do it like that. Let's go like this. There we go. Put one here too. Put that up there. There we go. So again, we're making these flats here so that we can select things easier down the line. And let's go and do that wiper properly. Let's just make it black for now. So for now, no, for all time, it is going to be black. That's the way it's going to go. So we got one there. Got another wiper here. Let me do a backfill. Fill it on in. Bam. All right. Let's use that gray on this light here too. Slight difference, but different enough that it's noticeable. Okay, and make this car reddish. Usually the foreground elements, you don't want them to be as punchy. In this case, I want us to notice the van, and I want us to notice this sort of reddish car. That's looking sort of a little bit too Christmassy, so let's change that. And make it, I don't want to make it gray. Yeah, that's okay, we'll do that. The main thing is just to suggest, because it'll be in the shade, suggest that this car here in front of us, directly in front of us, is in the shade and very close to us. So here I'm just trying to establish that there's like a lot of traffic type thing. And another car over here. This car is going to have light on it, so how do we want to do that? We want to make that green? We want to make that a little bit, maybe a little bit green? Okay. I'm going to make it this sort of lime green color. No, that's not lime green. Sort of this jade green color. Because it'll go nice against the blue sky. When we put the blue sky on, then you'll see. Turn it on. There we go. Turn on that blue sky. Alright. Wrong layer. Let's color on the right layer. Okay. And then we'll see. Maybe I want to put a Gaussian blur on that afterwards. Anyways, so we got that. Maybe I'll change the color just a little bit more. And then we got the interior of the van. Let's color it this color for now. For now. No. This is the color. That's it. This is the color. We'll change it to that because it's inside, so it's darker. So these guys will all be in the shade as well too. For the most part, because the light's coming like sort of from the top, So maybe, well, no, it'll be dark so that they're in the shade. It has that semblance of that. Now, let's see, let's pick this color. The van is here. We'll do the girl's car in a second. So let's do that, make sure we got the van colors right. Pick this gray here. Go there. And then, what color did we do? Oh, we did that one? Okay. So now, let's get this going. So the window is rolled down here. So yeah, look at that, he's just such a peeping Tom, my gosh. No, we're not suspicious here, are we? And don't worry, some of those lousy things will disappear, like around here. And make sure it's clean. That's not clean. Let's fix that. There we go. So we can see what it looks like with those characters on. So now, oh, we forgot the lights on the girl's car. So let's do the grill. Grill will be like that, you know. And later on, when I flat out the characters, it's largely the same thing. So I won't show it because it's redundant. Like, you guys are already seeing how I'm doing it. This is pretty much how I go about doing the flats. Flats are the colors that are going to be underneath the shade. And generally it's easier to do them this way because at the end of, you know, like if need be, you can go in and change things like really in a quick and easy fashion. Quick and easy style and fashion. So let's do that, make that sort of grayish. There we go. It's sort of an old school sports car. Not sports car, it's like an old school Audi. And what type of interior? We might make it black. We want sort of tannish, maybe. Let's do that. Let's do that. Put that in. Okay, actually, you know what? No. Let's not do that. Let's make. Oh, actually, that towel will be a different color. But at any rate, let's put this in. So then all this here belongs to. Oops. All this here belongs to this car. So now I'll show you if I want to change it. It's an easy change. Let me just make sure I got it all right. And go in and make sure. I don't think I got that steering wheel. So that here, okay. And the towel should be a nice color. Let's make the towel like yellow or something festive. So the towel yellow. Maybe I'll change the tint of the car as well too. It's an easy fix. If I want to change that, maybe I want it to be like brighter, like sort of like that. It's sort of like old school butter leather type feel to it. So let's do the leather parts and that sort of that, and then we'll do the steering wheel. We'll do the steering wheel in like gray, and then we'll put a shine on the steering wheel too when that time comes. Because usually how it works is that the top of the dashboard, the steering column and steering wheel, and most of the center console, usually, especially in this, like I'm trying to do like a sort of a 1990s car on purpose, usually they were like black. The reason why the top of the dashboard is usually black is so that it doesn't reflect the sun onto the inside of the windshield and then cause a glare so that you can't see. So usually if they want to do like a light interior colors, it's like for the seats and stuff. It's not for the top of the dashboard. Usually, I've seen it before, but it's not common. Now that you heard me say it, you'll notice it a lot more. you go and check, and you'll notice that your dashboard usually on your car will be a dark color so that it doesn't reflect. Man, so sloppy. There we go. It's dark, it's dark. Yeah, well, don't worry, we'll fix it. I'll even make the floor like grayish as well too. If you hear the howling, that's wind. It's very windy outside. Hope we don't lose power. Okay, now go in and repick that yellow. There's another thing I usually do is that I'll just like go way over the line with one color and then pick that color and then go back and like be more careful about it. So that I'm not cutting the line on both sides. I'm cutting the line like on one side. So, and these are these flats. This takes the most time. That's why I'll spare you guys on the next part that you don't have to see this. But it's important. You have to see it at least once. You have to see it at least once. You have to see it so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So now when you hear me say, "Oh, flats, flats. Oh, I hate flats." Now you'll know why I hate flats. But it's a love-hate relationship because they're really great as well too. So let's do this. Now remember, I did like a good amount of the shading on the page, so it's not going to take us that long to do this. Most of it's actually highlights stuff. Let's put that there. Windows open. All right. And you know what? I want to change this as well too. This is bothering me. Let's make this a little bit of a different color. Let's make it something more this way. I'm gonna fill it. I have that gradient on 36. Let's put it to above 50 something. And we'll do it for the sun visors too, and the silhouettes. So silhouettes of the characters, sun visors. And then fill it with a drop fill. If I would have done the backspace, it wouldn't have worked because what would happen is that it would fill all the way to where the mask is, but I didn't want it to fill. Like here, I'll show you. You see what will happen? Like if I do a Alt backspace fill, it fills all the way to this region. But if I do a G fill, it'll fill like only to where the end of the selection is. So it's more useful that way. And oh, that's the girl's head. I should probably even just have that sort of roughed in there and fill that in. All right, good, good. Now, oh, I forgot this towel down here. Let's do that. Doon, 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 doon. Oh, it looks like a little bit of overspill there. Pick that, color it in, invert the mask, and then color the bottom part in a little bit too. There we go. Lovely. We love it. It's marvelous. Save it. Save it, David. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to just put in some general shades that are going to help us establish all of these colors. It will help us establish these colors. One second, let me make that a little bit lighter. Just a little bit lighter. I think that's a better idea. So, what we'll do is we'll use our friend the multiply layer again, but we don't really have to use it all that much because of the fact that, again, I did do a lot of the legwork here already with the markers. So a lot of this stuff is already pretty much done, but even still, there's more to do. So let's go and see how much we can get done here. So we put on multiply. And and there you go, and it's locked onto, what we did is we created a clipping mask, so now it's clipped on top of the flats. So now wherever I shade, it won't go over onto the sky. As soon as I take off the clipping mask, then it goes onto the sky. So clipping masks are good for keeping things organized. Now let's see, the sun, where is that sun coming from? So let's do this car first. I'll just go in and just manually mask it. So zoom in, take a brush, and we'll turn that to brush from pencil, and we'll have the spacing up, and then what we'll do is we'll just start roughing in some of the shade. Now the light is coming from the other side of the car, so we need to just sort of hint at that. And what we'll do is turn up the hardness here for the lights, turn up the flow. We don't want that to be more of a sharp sort of line. And go like this. Don't be alarmed if I get quiet. If I go into silent mode, it's just concentration. So now what I'll do is I'll take a gradient here, and I'm gonna put that gradient on multiply, and you'll see to what effect. So what happens, let me pick a darker gray. So what happens here is now I'm dropping repeated gradients over parts of this, and then I'll go back with the original gray that I had and sort of do like a type of a backlighting. Just really slight in spots. There we go. A little bit down there too. I'll do more later. Let's erase back some spots too. Wherever I erase, it's going to go brighter, of course, because I'm erasing that shade layer. So this is also useful as well too. A lot of control with this method. A lot of control. And that's what it's all about. Is you want the control, and you want to be able to do this quickly. There's some of the shine there. Oh, maybe a little bit of a catch there. Like that. And then some on the mirror. There. Save it. Undo the mask. There we go. So that's one car partially done. And we'll do more. We'll do the shine on the glass and all that sort of stuff. But first things first. We always, we do it one step at a time. For me, I do it like I'll do all the shades first. And then I go in and do all of the, highlights and what have you, and do one car at a time. So I'll do a few more, and then I'll pause the video and then show you. But this is, I'll do one more, and then you can see how pretty much I'm doing it. And then I'll shade one more, and then I'm going to show you guys the some of the techniques I do for lighting as well too, meaning the actual highlights. So that'll be useful too. So now we do a general gradient here like this. Very simple, because the thing is like I said before, we already established it on the actual line art. Like on the actual real art, we have established it, and so we don't have to do that much here. That's the nice thing. So take this, take that, and a little bit of shade for that windshield wiper, and then the shadow from the mirror would drop down like that because the sun is like pretty much almost above. Let's do it nicer than that. A little bit thinner. And I'll make it stop there. And let's see, we also have to do under here, under the wheel well. And then let's get rid of that mask, and then mask here. Like this. Do a little gradient action. not much. And zoom out, and there we go. So that's already starting to look somewhat lit. And all right, so let's save that there. Now what we'll do is just do a few really easy highlights over top of the line art layer. Just over the line art layer now. Now, typically with how I do glass is usually at this point I'm using screens. And I'll show you what I'm doing. So right now I'm carefully masking around this windshield wiper and the shade that's underneath the windshield wiper. I'm over top of the line art layer, and I'm like this for a reason. Because now, if I go ahead and what I'll do is I'm actually going to turn this to screen. If I actually drop just a gradient here, screen. I'll take it off of multiply too. Put it on normal and put it on maximum intensity. So now what happens is that you see that it automatically lightens the lines, like reduces their opacity. Seemingly, what's happening is just the screen is just over top of it. So now, you know, I shouldn't have it here because his window should be open. So that should actually go darker, because then there is no window there, because his window is open, because remember, they're boiling hot. And this is one of those fans where this side window on this door can open as well too. So these should actually theoretically be dark because they're open. We can see into it. So I'll do it this way. Maybe not that dark. Maybe like this dark. That's good enough. There we go. And maybe I'll do that in here too, just to enforce that just a little bit more, make it a little bit more apparent. Now the mirror and the front of the dashboard are all closer to the light, maybe even in the light, but this is like darker. So I can make that darker. So there we go. So now we have the glass there. Now we need to do this glass over here too. Now if you forget what color you used, all you have to do is just hide all the layers, go up to it, hit Alt color pick, so G for gradient, Alt color pick, picks it. Turn back on all the layers, and then let's do this one now. We'll go here, here, and here. Now we're gonna do the windshield on this guy, this car, like so. There we go. Very simple, very easy stuff. And what else? Well, we'll do one little thing here. So another thing is, like, I usually just pick the color that I'm doing the highlight for, and like just draw it on the screen layer. So in other words, I picked that sort of grayish brown color, and I used it as an actual screen color. And then what I also do sometimes is that I'll actually like double pick it again. Like I'll pick that same color again, so it's like it's brighter. And like go in, and so okay, so I'll pick that yellow. And you know, I'll do this one here too. And then white's always good for stuff like this too. But I'll show you a way to get it really brilliant. So what you do is you pick your lasso tool, you put a feather on it of about, I think about 2 is good. And let's just see what happens and backfill it. No, 2 is a little bit too blurry. Let's do 1. Let's see what happens if we do 1. Backfill. Oh, that's a little bit better. So all I'm doing here is just taking my lasso tool, just drawing my shapes and alt backfilling them so that you get those white shines. And then if you want, you can also just use a brush as well too. And then erase back what you don't like. There we go. There we go. We'll do it for this one's lights too. or like halogen lights. And usually I use like a piercing, like white, so that it looks like it really is like shiny. And we can do that also for the, what we'll do is we'll take off the, we'll actually take off the feather. And we'll use the, actually we'll use the, what do you want to call it? This tool, polygon tool. And carefully go here, and let's do this here and this as well too. And okay, some of the bumper as well, and then we'll round it off. We'll stop there. Move on to other things. I know I'm taking my time here. All right, let's do it like that. I picked like an orangey color. And there we go. And it is sort of not anti-aliased for a reason, that it's more sharp. And I'll do one more thing. Usually wherever the sun is, you know, like usually I put like a white sort of, oops, wrong color. I put a white sort of haze. Whoa, my gosh. There we go. Like that. Then you can sort of smudge it just ever so slightly. Very slight. Then we have like sort of suggesting like where the sun is. That really bright spot. And then oh yeah, the other thing. One more thing. Then we'll stop it. We have to do the tops of the windshield wipers. Do one there, like this. You know, because there's these little details that are, you know, I don't know, I find that, you know, people seem to notice. It's like, oh wow, I can't believe you did this and that, and it's really shocking, you know, that you spent so much time on this and that. So anyways, we'll stop there, but that's what we got. So now we have this effect. I'll show you some more effects as well later too. I have to still do some fixes. There's some other stuff that we need to fix up here as well. I'll clean it up just a little bit more. Overall, that's what I wanted to show you. So that, I guess technically that's also background coloring as well too, like more mech and tech, that sort of thing. And but then when we get near the end of it, I'll show you the basic polish, like just like how to sort of do all those tricks to sort of make the background seem more. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go and I'll color, I'll shade in all of this as well too. And then we'll get to the characters. The fun part, we'll get to the characters. All right, guys, so take care. Now, I called the other part of this film, I called it the cars, because they're all pretty much the cars that we're doing at this point. So let's see. Oh, we got to fix that up. Let's fix that up right now. Sometimes when you zoom in, you see things that you weren't expecting. So we'll go on. That's on this there. Yeah, it is. Okay. So let's do that. Go in manually and do it. You know, this black rectangle was because when I drew it, I realized that this area wasn't going to translate well because of the size ratio. So as a result, left it black. Right or wrong, but that's how it occurred. The wind is still howling outside like crazy, so we're gonna ignore that and keep going. So now anyways, what I'm doing here is taking my brush, reduce the opacity, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start shading these seats. Now keep in mind that if the sun is coming from up above and the door is closed, then most likely this whole area is going to be dark. And if there is any sun coming in, it won't be down there, that's for sure. So, you know, we can pretty much go ahead and shade most of that dark. But before we do that, what I do first is I put in the actual basic shades, like that, the cast shadows. So for example, her legs will like cast a shadow here and here as well too, and you can sort of see some hints of it that I did on the actual line art, you know. And then also there'll be a bit here as well too, so let's just go ahead and I'll increase the opacity, or sorry, the flow rather. Photoshop does this thing sometimes. Okay, just 1 second. Let me pause it. So, Photoshop does this thing sometimes where it locks up and I have to restart it. So there we go, now it's working. So, you know, this is just the time. This is where all the time goes. It depends. However much time you put in, it is going to show for sure. Definitely going to show. Now keep in mind, you can already calculate how much time I'm putting in here. Now in a typical, you know, quote unquote manga page, as the term goes, there's going to be, you know, certain projects that you are just going to have to spend more or less time on, and ultimately, you know, you have to just, you know, be careful how much time you spend. So if you're careful about that, then you won't paint yourself into a corner, so to speak, where you spend all your time on the beginning of the piece and then, oh man, we've run out of time, now I have to rush the rest of it. You know, so ideally you guys won't get yourself into that situation. And you will. This just happens sometimes, but hopefully not too often. You know, because the thing is that you guys are going to, one day, if you are professionals, like, I mean, you're going to be in the industry, and there's going to be times where you want to spend time and you don't have time to spend. Like there's like, I know for this project of this tutorial how much time I can afford to spend on it and how much time it should take, because I've done this before. So I know how long this whole process should take. I know how long it should take generally. But if you're new at it, then it's like sometimes you might sink in huge amounts of time into a project that might not warrant that amount of detail. So you have to be careful. So like in a manga page, like typically we're doing these things like one a day, you know, like fast, full color from, you know, start to finish. It averages out to about one a day. So if you're doing this like one a day, then, you know, obviously you're gonna have to really start, you know, booking it at a certain point and just move, like get going fast. There's not that much time. So a lot of this sort of style that you see is like, you know, sloppy and this and that, you know, but that's part of the whole thing, is that this has to get done at a certain amount of time. Not everything is like a cover, you know, like cover quality. So it depends, you know, it's like there are many different ways. And you know, if you have more time, you spend more time, and if you don't have time, then you have to cut. It's just the way it goes. There's just no choice. You know, you can't necessarily control those things, you know. So what can you do? So you make do with what you have. And sometimes you only have a day to do something, and other days you have 3 days to do something. So the style you're seeing me do here is something that if I had to do this another 20 times, I can do it. It's sustainable. It's not like, oh, you know, well, he burnt himself out on the first page, now he can't perform for the rest of the pages. No, I can do this for the rest of the pages as well. And that's the whole point, is that at a certain level of your experience, you're going to know how much time you can or cannot put into a thing. You know, and you'll be able to determine what you can promise your client. So if the client's expecting something and you know that you're going to need 4 or 5 days to do it, then you can tell them I need 4 or 5 days to do it. But you don't tell them that. You tell them you need more time than that to do it in case something happens. So, you know, all that comes with experience. So now we got these leather seats, and we're just getting started here. Just getting started. We're just laying down our shades first. Laying down the shades. So now those seats, I'm thinking they need to be a little bit lighter, but for now we've got pretty much what we want. We've got what we want here. And I also colored these seats up as well too. So let's start tinting stuff. Now I think that this in the end is a little bit too dark. So what I'm going to do, I'll go on the screen layer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice screen here. Nice screen. We're going to make a nice mask as opposed to a lousy mask. I don't know. We're going to make a nice mask right here, very carefully, because the sun should be casting a little bit more light on this area. So let's do that. Let's make that happen. So how we're going to get the color? We'll just pick this grayish color here, apply a type of a gradient, and say that that does not look right. So we'll get rid of that, and there's a little bit of fandangling to it, you know. Just a little bit. That's a bit better. And then the other thing is that I want this, well, you'll see what we'll do. We're going to do a few things, and then you'll understand why I'm doing it this way. Let's see, how about here? Should we maybe make that a little bit brighter here, like this? So right now I'm coloring on the screen layer. On the screen layer. And what I'll do is I'll also erase back here. I'll turn off the other dynamics and reduce the flow. To sort of make those sort of gaps, you know, that happen between like dashboard components. That way it looks a little bit more believable. And yeah, I want that texture. I want that texture to stay. I don't want to lose it. So let's zoom back and do another erase. Turn up the flow a little bit. Oh, somebody's getting hungry. You might hear my stomach growling very soon. It's almost dinner time. I gotta drive home and go have nice cooked dinner. What's it gonna be tonight? What's dinner gonna be tonight? I'm not sure. Actually, I think I know what it's gonna be. So there we go. Now, you know, it's sort of here and there, and you know, meh, sort of blackish, grayish, weird sort of khaki color. But don't you worry, we're gonna change that. In fact, I even want to make those seats a little bit more crazy. I want to make them almost more red. Let's see how that looks. We'll put it on drop fill. I don't know if it's like a reddish leather, like, you know, some cars have that. That might be okay, but that won't go necessarily with that color of a car. What if we change the color? What if we made the car yellow? What about that? Let's change that. Yellow might work too, or if we did orange, maybe orange would work. That's not the orange we're looking for. This orange. We could do orange, or can't do another white car. I could do another blue car, but I don't know. I have a feeling like it has to be red because it has to catch our eye. So we'll make it red, and then this interior we'll make it like this color. But you'll see what we're gonna do. You'll see. Or maybe it should be. See, this is the thing, right? You know, like, you just keep on changing your mind, you're allowed to change your mind. You change your mind as much as you desire, as much as you'd like. You change your mind. You know, this is all part of it. You know, to try and get the colors right. So Anyways, maybe that's be better if it's like a brownish sort of color. Whoops. This brown? No, it's too reddish. Brown, no. Yeah, to reduce the opacity a little bit. Yeah, maybe this is better. Let's have a look, see what we've changed here. Some colors not looking too consistent. So let's pick that one. We'll go with that color. See what happens. There we go. Alright. And then the other thing is now we have to change this as well too. So lock transparency, we got that color. Turn that off, and yeah, there we go. Maybe make it a little bit more brownish. It's like I said, it's an old school car. Old school. Now we're going to do this as well here too. So those seats, let's do those seats. So let's save this thing. Now at this point, what I do typically is if I'm satisfied with the way the shades are, so let's look at those shades so you can see what I'm talking about. Basically what I have here, so I have the shade on a layer. Now as much as it's attached to the colors here, I can also just put it up here and do another clipping mask, and now it's on the line art. So anyways, this is what we got. This is basically what I did, is I shaded on top of the line art. Now if I turn the flats on, the flats will go underneath. So now what I can do, or what I will do, so what I'll do is I'll save it, and then I'll save a new version of this. And we're gonna merge these, the black and white and the shade layer together. Merge the layers. Okay, so now why did we do that? Well, you'll see. Now look at, whenever you merge something together, it automatically changes it back to normal. So, normal setting. Now, see here, this towel, I don't like how it sort of goes to that sort of brownish color, so, I mean that grayish color. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and I'm going to pick all the yellow, and I'm gonna go onto this black and white layer where the shades are and hit Control B and color tint it so that it's more yellow. And carefully, don't push it too much, gotta be careful. A little bit like that, and there we go. So just like that, I changed it to that sort of a warmish yellow color. So now we'll do the same thing again. So all I'm doing is this. This is why these layers are so great. I'm picking, make sure I picked just that, yeah. I'm picking all this sort of butter leather color now, this sort of tan color. Going back onto this layer, and then color tinting it to what I want it to be. Alright. Now, let's say it's like, it's a little bit too dark. So what we can do is go to Image Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, and then we can start changing it again and again and again, as much as we like, to get it how we want it, because I want it to be like that sort of a bright color. Now, the other thing is that we're like, well, now this is a little bit too light. So what we can do is pick this color here, pick a gradient tool, turn it to multiply. Let's pick one of the colors within it. So this sort of brownish color here. And what I can do is just sort of shade it that way, not that much. And like that, that might be okay. And then what else I can do is get rid of that, look back, let's turn everything on. Yeah, that's okay. And I can change this here too if this is a little bit too light. Oops, it looks like we got some things to fix over there. Let's do it this way. I'll do it on the flat layer. Oh, no, I won't. let me do it this way. Pick it, and go on the flat layer, pick bucket, there we go, there we go. Well, looks like I missed some of the flats here. Did I? Yeah, I did. Big time. Big time. Missed all sorts. So let's get rid of that. Put this on. Make sure we got it right. So little fixes here and there. Where is it? Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Turn off this. Make sure we get a nice, good look at it. And let's make sure we see what's going on here. Okay. Go on the right layer. Fix that up. It happens. There are mistakes. Mistakes happen in the masking process. Let's see, anything else? Any other screw ups? Probably more, but I don't see them right now. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I don't like how this is like yellow now. Maybe it's too similar to the car seat. So what I'll do is I'll change this. I'll desaturate it. Control Shift U desaturates it. Then let's go back on here. Control Shift U, that desaturates it as well. And then let's make it brighter. So it's like a white, you get like a white towel. Yeah, I think that's the way we need to go. Oh, sorry. I have to do this right. Let's fill it in. Actually, fill it in white. Let's see how that looks. There we go. That makes a difference. Then we go into this, and then we change it. Usually, if you want things to look blue, like a really crisp blue, crisp blue. Well, if you want things to look really crisp white, you make the shade blue. If you want it to be sort of like dirty, like canvas, then it's like more this color, like that sort of yellowish sort of a thing. So that makes an effect. All right, so that's working. Now this girl sort of gets lost here because these things are really dark. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just go ahead and actually, before I do that, let me just turn up the feathering just a little bit, 4 pixels on that feather. And I'm going to go and do it like this. So what's happening, what I'm going to use is, see how the ground is really light here and it's an intense sun. So I'm going to say that it's going to create a little bit of a uplighting sort of situation. So I'm going to go on that screen layer, turn on the turn off multiply, put it on normal, and go like this. Oh, lock transparency. Okay, take that off, and just like that, we get a feeling that, you know, that pavement is bright. It's refracting light back, but at the same time, subtly, we also, you know, distinguish her as well too. Now her hair, her dark hair and stuff, and she'll have dark skin too, so she'll stand out much better against this here. This is like a little device you can use. I mean, you can use that as well here, because I was just noticing this as well. You might need just a little bit more here as well. Oops. So let's take this and put it on the screen. And it's just not that much, a little bit. So now all of a sudden she stands out just a little bit more, which is good. That's what we need. And let's go in and start doing a little bit of some highlights here and there, and then we'll stop it, and then we'll move on to like the characters. And the characters, I'm not going to show you the flats because it's really tedious. And you guys have seen it already, so you guys know exactly, when I say it, now you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So put these lines here. I'm putting these lines here because now this is going to help define this this angle here. And you know what? Maybe it would be a smarter idea if what I'll do is probably put two screen layers to come up with this. So I can do that as well too. Shall we? We shall, we might. This should be darker. This should be darker. Let's turn everything off and see. Okay, I used that color there. So then let's pick that color. Zoom in, fill, put it on paint bucket. Contiguous is on the flats layer, put it there and there and there. Should be there. Turn those back on. There we go. That's a bit better. And what else? What else? What else? What else? Right now it's a bit jarring, you know, because her feet are like really light here. But don't worry, we'll make it so that it darkens up a little bit. Now what I want is I want to have this a little bit brighter. I want a little bit of a flare here to suggest that this is like bright. So what I'll do is I'll go on that and put yet another gradient here. Very slight. See that? Very slight. But it pushes the darkness of the visor back more. Let's fix that up. Yeah, I can do that better. A few puffs from the eraser. There we go. So that's a bit better. And then we get this guy. Creepy! Look at him. Uh-oh. That guy, what's he looking at? Let's put another layer over top. And, well, actually, I'll have to do that later because he's part of the layer. So I'm gonna have to do that like as a last stage in order to sort of separate him a little bit more and the van that he's in. I'll do that like later on. So we got that. Zoom back. Alright, so that's starting to look a little bit better. This looks bad though. So let's shrink that down. Make that look more round. Doesn't look round at all. Now it looks better. Okay. Now let's put some little bit of highlights here, and then we'll round it off. Just a little bit of highlights, a little bit of texture. A little bit of texture here too, maybe a little bit lighter. I want it to have that sort of like buttery leather type feel to it. A little bit this too. A little bit of shine. And oops, wrong. Move that up. There too. No, it's not realistic. It's not really realistic, is it? But it gets the point across. It's still interesting to look at, I find at least. There's the seat. Let's see. Alright, so we're just moving along here. So I think that's about as far as I would take the backgrounds in a normal situation. And you know what? I want this red to be different. So let's go on our flats, mask the red. I'll turn it on contiguous. And then we'll hit Control U. Shift it. There we go. That's better. I want that color. There we go. That's much better. It's sort of that rusty red color. So we're getting there. And you know what? Like as we move on, it might even be that I'm going to that I might darken up certain aspects of the background here. There might be certain parts that I'm going to just change, just because, you know, I don't like the way it looks, or whatever my excuse is. So it's one of those works in progress. Let's do that. There we go. That's a little bit better. So let's save it. Let's save it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the flats for the characters, because you guys have seen me do that. It's so tedious. So I'm not gonna force you guys to watch that. The next thing we'll look at here is, once I get all those flats done, we'll start doing some cell cuts, and then we'll really start having fun. And then after that, there's a few just things to clean up, and then we're pretty much done. So most of the work is behind us now. But when we get to the color tinting aspect of it, we might change the colors of certain things just to push things forward or back. Like, for example, just a little highlight of that. See this on this background here? I have all the background on one layer now, because as I went along, I put it all on one layer. So what we can do now, and this is what I'm talking about, is that we can, you know, basically take our colors and really start like messing around with it more, however we want to, you know, do it. So I might like go in and like change my mind and like make it so that the far background is like it's more blue or whatever, so that it contrasts more with these cars here. So anyways, and as I go along, I start combining layers as well too. So now I'd probably like combine these two layers, merge layers, and then change it to back to screen. You know why? Because I don't like having a whole mess of stuff. I like everything to be neat and tidy. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's do that. I'll take the time, flat out all the characters, and then we'll go in and do the fun stuff, which is namely the cell shading. Thanks for watching. So let's stop the video.